Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check, check. Sweet. Cool. Let's jump straight into this. Newport's creative juices run dry. Yeah, I don't like being the one to say that, but it has to be said. We've lost our student population. The cost of living really affects the cost of creation. You know, like I'm in the Indo market right now. This place had several £1 million spent on it, and it's a Wednesday, which means all the food places are opening up, because apparently the food places are what bring in the customers. But there's honestly not that many customers in Newport. Apparently this place is rammed on the weekends. Apparently the bars and all the food places, apparently this whole seating area where I'm sat, absolutely full up on the weekends, allegedly. So it's good that I'm wrong. I don't like being right about these things, but it's good that I'm wrong. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's much creative juices. It just means that there's people with money who's prepared to spend it for, you know, nice food and drink. It is nice. It is quite delicious. I'm actually waiting for Burger Boys to open up so I can get some nice crispy hot fries, because they do banging chips. Otherwise, in the meantime, I'm kind of sat here with my laptop, just, you know, writing up some questions for my podcast guest, because I've got a podcast interview tomorrow with Emma Jane Powell, the winner of Ms. Great Britain. So yeah, big interview. She's got an interview with me in the morning, and then she's going off with she's got another interview in the night time. So she's a really busy person. Like I've been doing my deep dive on her all morning. She's a really fantastic person. Wipe the dust off now. Oh, nice, brilliant, cool. So yeah, so I'm just here. I've got my camera equipment with me. I've got my mics with me. I might as well make some content while I'm at it. Check. So yeah, when I say that the creative juices in Newport have run dry, so I'm involved with a lot of creativity. A lot of my stuff is media focused. But when I started out 15 years ago at the age of 18, my focus was the music industry. I was involved with artist management. I started with artist management. I started managing bands, and I quickly realised that if the band doesn't get paid, the artist manager doesn't get paid. So I branched off into events at the time, and I quickly learned about event promotion, booking the venue, hiring in the acts, selling the tickets, covering the costs, you know, promoting the event. And this was back in 2010, 2011, where promoting events on Facebook was very easy. All you had to do was kind of create the event. You could like copy and paste a code into the HTML bar, and it would auto select every single person on your friends list. So if you had a friends list of several thousand people, or 3,000 people, 4,000 people of, you know, in the Newport area, that was really helpful for event promotion. Unfortunately, I lost that Facebook account because personal troubles. I had to deal with some personal issues in my personal life at the age of 19, and that carried on for a while, and I was deprived of access to that Facebook account. And I'm sure, based on how much data was lost, how many personal images, that was like an infringement on my human rights. It actually caused me quite an identity crisis for quite a while, but there's no going back to it, so I might as well build from scratch, and this is what I do the media stuff for. So so I've got quite a bit of experience with the music industry, and I see it still. I still stay in touch with a lot of artists. I'm in quite a few group chats with artists, and I'm always offering artist management advice, ready for anyone that wants to take it. There are quite a few people that take it. I still get calls from friends. They call me up, they ask me, you know, specific like things to do with their bands, or to do with their artistry, or to do with their music career, and I'm like, yeah, okay, just do X, Y, Z, this will be this. But the reason why I don't get back into artist management exclusively is because in 2025 there is far too much dependency on the artists themselves to stay on top of their personal branding, to stay on top of their social media content. Like, social media does play a big role in online presence, as much as it is capped and, you know, limited on how many people you can reach. Social media is still pretty relevant. There's no point being an artist manager when a lot of these profiles for artists, especially on an independent level, are personal accounts. These are personal artist accounts that they have, they have direct access to through their personal accounts. So to justify an artist manager having access to these personal accounts to, post on their artistry accounts, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So I wouldn't get back into artist management, because the return for the work that you have to put in is not worth it. But that doesn't mean that I can't still give advice and guidance and a hand to artists in the area. But what I'm seeing at the moment, so there's three elements to a music industry, to a local independent music industry. So number one, you've got the artists, the literal music that they create. The second part is the events that they perform at. So public performances, live performances, in-person performances, they are big deals. That is one way for a musician to share their music with a crowd. We're all aware that there are issues with streaming platforms right now. Spotify is causing a lot of problems for a lot of people because they're refusing to pay out on, I think it's less than 1,000 streams. So if an artist doesn't receive 1,000 streams on a song in a year's time, they don't get paid out for that song. Which, I guess in 2025 that's perfectly fine. There's going to be some people that are like, I shouldn't have to promote my music. You should have to promote your music, definitely. But other than that, I think quite recently, in fact, January, February and March, I think Spotify actually removed a lot, like millions and millions of bot listens from some of the biggest artists as well. So it's not foolproof. It's really, really not foolproof. Personally, I don't see why artists don't focus on selling the actual music on iTunes and Google Store and Amazon and things like that. I would much rather sell a song for 79 pence than depend on several thousand listens just to make the equivalent in streaming money. That's just how I see it, really, because it's the amount of work is nuts. Several thousand streams for 79 pence or one sale. So if you've got fans, you've got fans. You're making money. So yeah, what I'm seeing at the moment, I know I keep coming back to this, what I'm seeing at the moment with a lot of local musicians is they're kind of moving away from actually making the music. They need to come back to making the music, definitely. They need to come back to making the music. So yeah, I'm starting to see it in local musicians. Local musicians are not paying enough attention to the actual music, the fundamental product that makes them a musician. They're happy to put out these little, freestyle videos, these little kind of teaser music videos. I think they're being pushed too much towards the social content, and they're not focusing enough on the fundamental music making. I'll just pass the word along. I'll just tell them, are you guys paying attention to the music? Are you creating stuff or what? So that's the first thing. I'm not seeing enough of that. Number one, like I said, because of the cost of living, that heavily impacts how easy it is for an artist to create. Creation, being creative, you need the freedom to be able to make mistakes. You need the freedom to be able to create something bad so that you can compare it to what you actually want to create, or so that you can get that comparison of what is good. I think there's a story. So there was a pottery class, and the teacher teaching the pottery class made one vase, and it was okay. But what he did was he made the students, the teacher had to leave, the teacher had to go on the trip, and what he said was, in the meantime, the students had to keep making vases and vases and vases and vases. And what happened was, when he got back, the quality of the vases the students were able to make was far greater than whatever the teacher was able to make, because they had done that repetition so much. They had made so many creative mistakes that by the time it came to making good vases, they had that experience. That's not to say that the teacher couldn't do it. It's just that the teacher only made one vase and it was okay. That's a really, really important lesson. So if creatives, if artists, if musicians aren't able to make as many mistakes, aren't able to produce as often as they need to for their content, for their creations, for their productions, then they're not going to be able to create good productions, let alone any productions. So yeah, cost of living is number one. Number two, the local ecosystem. Definitely, like if so I'm not gonna point fingers. I'm not gonna name names, but there's certainly infrastructure in the local ecosystem that does not support creativity. You know, it is quite a local, political centric kind of thing. You know, I'm not, again, like I said, I'm not going to point fingers, not going to name names, but it's quite sad. It's quite sad when you see these organisations with these resources. You see these bodies, you know, with these resources designed for being handed out individually to creative individuals, and they are not being handed out individually. They're being kind of like shotgun, kind of like shot out at, you know, first come first serve. But the problem with that is a lot of the partners and people claiming these resources that are supposed to be going to individuals and independents are actually going to friends of these organisations. You know, there's a lot of nepotism, there's a lot of buddy, you know, oh, I know you, I recognise you, you know, here's a cheeky heads up, if you fill out this form before anyone else does, we'll give you the money, we'll give you the resources. And that's another problem. The public resources, the public funding, the allocated public money that is supposed to be given out to individuals indiscriminately is not being given out to individuals indiscriminately. It's being given out on a nepotism basis, on a friendship basis. I myself have certainly been deprived several thousands of funding, and certainly opportunities as well. Opportunities for networking, opportunities for teaming up on productions and stuff. I've been deprived of stuff purely because I'm not friends with the people that get given these public resources, get given these this public money. So yeah, you know, I'm not prepared to like start pretending that the devil isn't the devil. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to start pretending like bad people aren't bad people, which is quite ironic for me to say, really, because, you know, a lot of people think that I'm the bad guy, and I'm just like, whatever. You know, look at my work. Look at how many people I get on with. Look at the kind of things I do for people with the resources that I don't have. I am not a bad guy. Like, I might come across as a bit chopsy cheeky and kind of, you know, a bit intimidating at times. I don't mean it. I'm a big guy. Like, it's easy for me to come across as intimidating. Doesn't mean I'm trying. Newport is a bit of a rough place. You need to have a bit of a rough edge to survive in this city on a social level. You know, if you get thrown into certain social circles, you know, with people from impoverished backgrounds, people from substance backgrounds, people from rough backgrounds, you need to develop a bit of an edge. So when you move out of those circles and you start rubbing elbows with people who are a bit softer, a bit kind of, you know, have had life hampered for them, they take it the wrong way. They're like, oh no, a thug. So yes, those are the main two reasons why creative juices in the city are kind of dried up, why they're kind of being leached out. Number one, cost of living in general. Life is very expensive across the board, for housing, for food, for utilities. And number two, because public resources and public assets that are being allocated by government are not trickling down to an independent individual level. This is kind of being gate kept. There are gatekeepers that are preventing these things from getting out into the community. So it's quite sad. It's quite sad because, you know, in an impoverished city like Newport, I do a lot of research into wealth. I look at wealth quite a lot. What is wealth? And intellectual properties are forms of generating wealth. And intellectual property, if you don't need money to create an intellectual property, you just need, you know, talent. So if you create an intellectual property and enough, all you need is enough people to like it. This is why there are a lot of successful YouTubers, because they have lots of likes, lots of views, lots of subscribers. This is why there are a lot of successful social media influencers, because they have lots of followers, lots of popularity. And then you transform that popularity into monetization. That is how you generate wealth. So your IP, the thing you create, your intellectual property, if it is liked by many people, if it generates lots of popularity, then you can monetize that, and that is the kind of the financial value being added to your intellectual property. And so some people, some musicians, they create songs that they retain ownership of, and those songs pay them money for the rest of their days. You know, that is the dream for a lot of people, and I feel like that dream is being forgotten. I feel like that dream is not being passed on, because there's a lot of organisations, there's a lot of middlemen and middle women particularly that are kind of withholding resources, being selfish, trying to rewrite the ecosystem, and it's not like that. You can't, you know, there's a natural hierarchy. You can't force people to go with your physical products, your physical service, and expect it to continue working naturally. You just can't do it. So yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. I fund all of my stuff out of my own pocket. I do quite well. I look after myself. I cover my costs. I eat super noodles. I honestly, like, all of the stuff that I do, it comes from my own pocket. Very rarely do I actually apply for other things, because I'm so used to just being told no, or someone being friends with someone else and them saying, oh, don't give it to him, give it to me instead, and it's petty. So yeah, this has just been me talking for about 20 minutes. I do need to make more videos and flesh out my YouTube channel, monetize my IP. So yeah, so if you've got any questions about artist management, if you've got any questions about wealth generation, if you've got any questions about kind of any of the things that I've talked about here, popularity, fame, IPs, whatever, drop me a message, let me know what's going on, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Peace.